What's up, everybody? This is Russell Brunson. Welcome back to the Marketing Secrets Podcast. I hope you loved the last episode where I had let you guys in behind the scenes to hear Lindsey Stirling at Funnel Hacking Live share some amazing wisdom and ideas and thoughts. And I'm even more excited, if that's possible, for today's episode, because after we cue up the theme song and come back, I'm going to let you guys listen in behind the scenes of the live Q&A I did with her afterwards on stage. And we go over a lot of cool things in there. I think you're going to love it. But the one thing that impressed me the most, I want to kind of put it from my perspective, so when you hear it, it'll hopefully have the same impact on you as it had on me. But I do know that before we brought her on stage, I knew that she was on America's Got Talent, and I do know that she made it through a couple rounds, and they kicked her off, and they said she wasn't good enough. And so I wanted to ask her that question and find out, what did you feel? What was going on in your mind? And what I assumed she was going to say was like, oh yeah, they screwed me, like blah blah blah, whatever, like or they kicked me off. They didn't know who I was going to prove them all wrong, and like that's what I assumed she was going to say when she responded back to that answer. But instead, what she said was so different and so much better and so much more powerful. What she said afterwards was she got off the show and she went home and she looked at herself and she realized that they were right. She wasn't good enough yet, and so because of that, she went back and she started practicing and working hard until she became good enough, till she became the Lindsey Stirling that we had a chance to experience at Funnel Hacking Live. And it was such a powerful thing. Like, I thought the message of screw you, I'm going to work harder anyway would have been powerful, but the message she left instead was 1,000 times more powerful. And a lot of times the market tells us no, and we have to look at ourselves and say, you know what? The market's right sometimes. And instead of me fighting it, I'm going to go and I'm going to go and become good enough. And such a powerful thing. But anyway, this interview is amazing. It's not super long. I've never interviewed someone on stage before. I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit nervous. It's only about 10 minutes long, but I hope you get a lot of value out of it. And once again, if you guys can, go to Lindsey Stirling concert, support her. She's amazing, and she was such a huge addition to this year's Funnel Hacking Live. All right, let's cue up the theme song, and then when we come back, we'll jump right into my live Q&A with Lindsey Stirling. So the big question is this: how are entrepreneurs like us, who didn't cheat and take on venture capital, who are spending money from our own pockets, how do we market in a way that lets us get our products and our services and the things that we believe in out to the world and yet still remain profitable? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Russell Brunson, and welcome to Marketing Secrets. Was that amazing or what? What an awesome way to end out this extraordinary last 4 days together. It's fun because we were planning, as soon as Funnel Hacking Live ends, we start thinking, what's the plans for next year? And so we were just talking about this, and I was like, man, I want something to end where we can just leave on cloud nine. Everyone's got the energy and everything. And I was like, we should have a concert. And then we're like, well, we've never done that before. I don't know how that even works. And then, I don't know if you were talking about before, but we started talking about different names, who would be possible, and then we said your name, and everyone on my team was like, if Lindsey Stirling could come, that would be the most amazing thing ever. And you guys just experienced, is that the most amazing thing ever? It's so great.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. You guys are amazing, as I said. Thank you so much for your energy, and it sounds like it's been an amazing week.
It's been a lot of fun. Well, cool. I wanted to take a few minutes just to interview her because we were actually going to try to do this earlier today, but we ran out of time, and so I wanted to do this just partially because I want you guys to connect with her more and be able to follow her more, and I'm going to talk a little about that towards the end, but also just to help so everyone understands some of her journey, because her journey I think is very similar to a lot of your guys' journeys as well. So I think my first question is, where did you come up with such a unique thing? There's people that do violin, there's people that do dance, but I've never heard of anyone besides you who did both. How did you come up with that?
A funny fact, I guess, about me is a lot of people ask me, what came first, the violin or the dancing? And the thing is, I've played the violin my whole life. I started when I was 6. I did not start dancing until I was 23 years old, and I'm a self-taught dancer. And so it's very ironic that I've always loved dance, and I thought it was just such a beautiful art form, and I wanted to make my performance as a violinist more engaging than just, I always felt so stiff. And so I really started working on incorporating movement into my performances. But the funny thing was I had this vision of being a dancing violinist, and I couldn't dance. And And so I think it's so important to, whenever you are starting out on a venture or a journey, whether it's an artistic one or a business one, there are things that you're going to be like, but I don't know how to do that. How could I possibly be a dancing violinist if I don't know how to dance? Well, I started step by step by step, in a very literal sense, teaching myself very simple choreography that just started with like a look and a wink and like a little shoulder, just very minimal movements. And now I can literally do back bends while I play, and I can spin, I can learn choreography. And it all was just step by step. And because I had such a clear vision, and I was so determined that sometimes the less you know in a way, the better it is. I don't think I realized how difficult it would be. And so I naively just went into it with everything I had and worked tirelessly until I could do it.
That's amazing. Very cool. So the next question is, before Crystallize blew up for you, and you're going through, and I'm sure you're practicing and doing things and videos and all sorts of stuff, and things weren't blowing up for you. First off, how long was that period of time? And then second off, what was it that kept you going, moving forward during that time, as opposed to just throwing it in and walking away from it all?
Yeah, I probably started to pursue, and write my own music and, make this art of dancing and playing. And I probably worked at that for 2 years before I even discovered YouTube. And during that time, I had a lot of times that I kind of fell on my face, sometimes literally, sometimes just more, figuratively speaking. One of which was extremely public. It was in front of millions of people on America's Got Talent. My little artistic heart was absolutely broken on that show. I felt like my spirit was just broken. I was so devastated at what I thought this was going to be the biggest moment of my life and what changed everything. And I ended up getting absolutely publicly humiliated, and told in front of millions of people on live TV that I sounded like strangled rats when I played the violin. I was told that I didn't have what it took and I should try something else. I would never make it. And that was one of the hardest things to get over, because I was literally terrified to step on a stage again after that. I was like, I just don't know if I can face that kind of humiliation. It was in the back of my mind every time I would go to step on a stage of I am probably going to fail. And so I took a little break from it just to regather my confidence again and to work on my craft. And I realized, I think the most important thing about that story, which took me years to realize, is that they told me, you're not good enough. And people now always are like, oh, America's Got Talent, they were so wrong about you. They missed this diamond in the rough. And looking back on it, no, they actually were right. I wasn't good enough, but the most important word was left out, and it's that I wasn't good enough yet. I had literally just invented this idea of dancing and playing a violin, and I hadn't put in the time yet. I wasn't good enough. But I just began, once I realized that I'm just not good enough yet. And I worked for the next year and a half honing my craft and getting good enough so that no one would ever be able to say that again and it wouldn't be true. And I also think there's this inner gut that guides you. And sometimes you get to a point, and I've done this in different ventures, where I realize this isn't a path that I should pursue anymore. I think this door is closed and it's time to go to a different one. But this door, I knew that it would open. I just felt it, and I just need to keep going, because that inner compass will never lead you astray. And to me, that's God. And you can call it whatever you want, whether it's the universe talking to you and guiding you, but I do believe there's something so much greater than ourselves that guides us, gives us inspiration, and gives us that courage to press forward.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Spinning.
I know these chairs. They're all spinning up here. So for those who want to know more about you, I know, in fact, my mom's down here. My mom in the middle, my mom's like, have you read her book yet? Will you tell them about your book? So if people want to learn more about you and your life and everything, I'd love for you to tell them about that, and we can have them all go buy the book tonight.
There you go. My book is called The Only Pirate at the Party. It's very thematic of a theme in my life, where it's based off a true story where I went to a birthday party that when I first moved to LA, and it was a Peter Pan themed birthday party, and I was really excited, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have a pirate costume. This is perfect. I'm going to make so many friends. And it was that Mean Girls moment where I walk into the party, and it was a regular party. Like, nobody was dressed up, and I was a full-blown pirate. And I was like I had the hat. I had like a tinfoil hook I made, so I was Captain Hook. And it was like, there was like a Tinkerbell cake. That was like the only thing that let you know maybe this was a themed party. And I remember there was that moment of like, no one's really seen me yet. No one really knows me. I could get in my car and I could go home and no one's the wiser. Or I could just own it and go into the freaking party and try to make some friends. And I decided to go in and make some friends and like kind of laugh about and I met a lot of people because I was the only pirate at the party. It was just such a like, you know what, this seems like it's a little bit of a theme of my life, and that's why the book has all these stories of, I mean, it's not like any of us walk through life trying to be like, I'm different, I'm the only pirate, you know, but I think we're all different. We are all so unique, and those are the things that make us wonderful. They're the things to be celebrated, the joys, the hardships, and it all leads into our story. And so that's what my book talks about. It talks about like my experiences going through an eating disorder and depression and America's Got Talent and all these like times when I hit the bottom and through my own gifts and uniqueness decided it's time to get back up again.
Awesome. So everyone go on Amazon and get that today. Awesome. Excuse me. All right, so my last question for you is revolving around Operation Underground Railroad. So I know you've been involved for a long time with them as well, and you had a chance to watch the documentary. So last year at this event in Orlando, it was the first time we introduced this world to Tim Ballard and Operation Underground Railroad. We watched the first documentary. We raised just over $1 million during that event, which was insane and amazing. And then Tim actually flew from our event to Haiti to pick up his kids, and then flew back, which was so cool. And so I know you've been involved in for a long time. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts about what they're doing and the importance of it, and kind of how you're getting involved now as well.
You know, I get chills just thinking about it. The documentary was so, I don't think there was a dry eye in the room. I think what they are fighting is the greatest evil that could possibly happen. It's the greatest evil. It's the plague of our time. And I don't think there is anything that is more important than freeing people from slavery. And Tim's book is amazing. Slave Stealers, if you haven't read it, it's on Audible. You can listen to it as you drive around. But it's so... I've written a lot of music based off of my experience of going through anorexia and depression, and I do a lot of these, metaphorical images and music videos about being trapped, and they were to represent a time when I was literally trapped, like a prisoner inside my own mind, and that was really, really hard. But it just makes me think my next mission. I've told that story now. My next mission is to talk about how people can literally be trapped by somebody else. And you know what? I think the greatest thing about having a voice and having success is that then you get to pick, you get to tell your story through my book, through my music, through my art, but then I also get the opportunity to help other people tell their stories. And each one of you, as you grow your business and your brands and whatever it is, this is giving you not only a platform for the things you're passionate about and the things you work so hard for, but it's giving you a platform to share whatever message you are passionate about. And I'm super passionate about Operation Underground Railroad. I'm so excited. I was so excited to hear that they were a part of this event and that you guys support them. And anyways, I can't think of a greater cause.
Awesome. Thank you.